5:03 p.m. We are moving into the meeting, which we should have started at 5, but went a little bit over. So the notice is hereby given that the above call meeting of the governing body of the city of Balcones Heights, Texas will be held on Monday, January 27th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Justice Center located at 3300 Hillcrest Drive, Balcones Heights, Texas 78201, to consider and act upon any lawful subject which may come before in said meeting, including among others, the following items to be discussed and acted upon. So we will call to order and recording of a quorum. We do have a quorum present. And then we're going to do invocation and pledges of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. So I will lead the invocation today. I haven't done that in a while. So if we can just take a moment of silence. Heavenly Father, we come to this meeting today to do the business of the city. We take in mind all of the needs of the community, the employees, and everyone involved in this city. We ask that you guide our hands, dwell into our minds to become people builders, help us to get our community together as one so that we can move forward to making this city continue in its prosperation. We thank you with all of our heart. We acknowledge Jesus as your son. Amen. So in honor of the Texas flag and pledge to the Texas one state under God. Flag. Indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Flag. So I'd like to say welcome everyone, please, to the city and welcome to our city council meeting. Okay. So our legal counsel is not here yet. So when we start getting into the business items, let's wait to see if he shows up. He's probably running a little late in traffic. But at this time, I'll go ahead and entertain the citizens to be heard. And I think we have several citizens here. Miss Allison Hayward, 2628 Hansel Heights, TML president, to speak about TML legislative engagement, CMO and benefits, as well as handouts of the handbook. Yeah. Welcome, Miss Allison.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and staff. I'm Allison Hayward, I'm TML president, and I am trying to go around to different cities in the area, especially in our region, because we're Region 7, and I didn't get to do that during my region director time because we had COVID. So now as being TML president, I'm trying to make it when I can. So I'm here to just kind of talk to you a little bit about TML because TML is making some changes and we're trying to move forward and get things moving and going. So we've made a change to the Texas Municipal League Certified Municipal Officials designation. It is a prestigious designation. It is, although voluntary, and we made the change so that for smaller cities to be more involved. And so with that, we're doing 60 hours in 2 years, and it's 30 hours of online and 30 hours of in-person. And I'm just coming out and encourage everybody to do that because what I realize is the more training you have, the better representative you can be for your residents. And then when you're all certified municipal officers, that's that prestigious honor that you can wear, and your residents know that you've taken the time to get some training to learn better how to serve them and do a good job with that. The other thing is I want to encourage everyone, you probably got it in your email, an email from me, but this is the hard copy of the Texas Towns and Cities magazine. And it is one that we sent out 181 hard copies to the Texas legislatures. And it's all about how cities work, because a lot of people don't know how cities work. And I'm encouraging everyone to read that because it has a lot of nuggets in there. So when we're going up before the legislature to testify and advocate for the things that we want as cities and to try to squash the things that we don't want, we have nuggets in here that we can pull out and highlight. So I'm asking everyone to do that. And with that, I'm also asking for people to think about being on a legislative engagement committee. I, as the president, am doing an ad hoc committee, and I know that there are a lot of people that like legislation and may not necessarily like what comes out, but you like the process. And I am trying to grow this committee, and I'm trying to get a broad section of Texas to be representative with small cities, medium cities, and large cities, and just cities that are probably even rural cities. Because I think that helps us because we can tell our story when these bills come up to say how they will affect us. So if anybody is interested in becoming part of that committee, please feel free to email me or call me, and I will be happy to try and put you on my committee because do not have an idea of how many people I'm going to do, but I know that I want to start with an odd number so that when we have Zoom meetings and we have discussions, we won't have a tie. And so that we can be engaged. And I'm looking for people that want to be engaged and can engage other residents, their residents, because I think with this year and the way the bills have been lining out, we're going to need all the help we can get, and some of that is going to be with our residents. And if you haven't been getting your emails from the legislative committee, from grassroots legislation, they send that out every Friday with an update. If you're not getting that, please contact TML so that you can get that, because that's going to be a wealth of information, and that way you can track it. You can also put the bills in Texas legislation online, set up an account, and it will ping you anytime there's new legislation or movement in a particular bill that you're looking at. So I'm just here to just kind of say, hey, come be a part of TML, work with TML, work with me so that we can make sure that we're getting the right legislation out of Austin to make sure that our cities are the way we want them, not the way Austin seems to think one size fits all. With that said, if you don't mind, I do have a handbook for mayors and council members from TML that I'd like to pass out. You can read it. They also have it online if you like to do things online. I'm just the old school kind of girl and like handbooks. Y'all have a great evening, and I hope y'all have a great meeting tonight. Thank you.
Mayor. Mayor. Mayor, I'd like to be recognized. And as a member of,
It's public comment, so we can't engage, we can't answer. we can't-
it's preferred that we don't, but we
Well, no,
can.
because of the Texas Open Meetings Act,
Mhm.
we have to be very careful.
Mhm.
We cannot respond, but we can say thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allison and the 2ML for the services they provide. For myself, it's been a phenomenal help. It's been outstanding, the services I've received from TML. And by all means, include me on your grassroots
There you go.
program.
Okay, good. Ms. Madeline Slay. Presentation comments on codes.
I have a comment on the presentations. I guess this is a good time to do it about some code issues. It has been, really? When I was looking through the packet for this evening, I noticed that 330 Glenarm, the fence had been inspected. And I'm bringing this up just because I know we're in a stage of flux, but my friend who lives there called me because there was just a bunch of, stuff going on. They're tearing down the old fence and putting up a new fence. And he says, can they do that? I said, well, they need a permit. So his he told his contractor ran off to come down here and get a permit. Contractor was also using his electricity, which I told him he needs to pay you for that, which he did. But what they did is they tore down a non-compliant fence and put up the exact same non-compliant fence. It is 8 feet tall, 8 feet tall between residences, and it goes beyond the front of the house. And our ordinance is that our residential, that there can be 6 feet tall unless you get a waiver, and they cannot go beyond the front of the house unless it's see-through metal iron fence. So, I mean, if someone tore down a chain link fence, we wouldn't let them replace it with another chain link fence because it's non-compliant. But this 8-foot tall wood fence going all the way to the sidewalk was non-compliant, and somehow we allowed them to completely replace a non-compliant fence. So that's my comment on that.
Then you had another one on the petition. You want to wait for that on number 2?
I'll wait for that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Slay. We have Mr. Gillian, former councilman, 324 Glenarm.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Good to see you again. I have a few comments about this petition that went around. I saw the signatures on the petition, and I'd just like the public to know that of ever how many signatures were on that petition, I could only count on one hand. I could count on one hand how many people have actually been in a council meeting in the last 5 years. It was like 5. So what makes me ponder is how many people really know what's going on at City Hall other than a citizen like Mr. Mena going around and talking to them. And one of the things that he was telling people that really disturbed me was he was telling what I call a half truth, and that's giving it the benefit of the doubt. He spoke about the mayor's office at Wonderland. He said the criticism that the current mayor is getting is not fair because Mayor DeLeon had an office at the mall. Well, let me tell you what's a half truth about that. The truth first is she did have an office at the mall, but it was not paid for by the city. It was sponsored by Catholic Charities, and it was for the doula program. And this is what concerns me about the administration the mayor is conducting. It's easy to take a half truth, and if you tell it long enough, Mayor, will you look at me? If you tell a half truth long enough, it becomes a 3/4 truth. And if you keep telling that 3/4 truth, eventually people accept it as a full truth. And that concerns me about your conduct.
Thank you very much for your comments, former Councilman Gillian. Thank you so much. We have Suzanne De Leon, former mayor. Agenda item number 2, so you're going to wait for that to come up, correct? Okay, great. Thank you very much, citizens, for your input. We will move now on down to the presentations. We have department reports and Q&A, police department, fire department, community development, and economic development and public affairs.
Mayor and Council, you have the department reports in front of you. If there's any questions, your directors are here to answer.
Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman. Let's say
For the police chief, in reviewing the police department report, I want to highlight a couple of items that I noticed for the month of December. In reading the report, I see that our officers made contact 6,009 times with responding to calls and also responded to 426 traffic violations. It's a large number to digest. And I went back and I looked at the reports and saw how they're categorized. And seeing the report, and I've not noticed the amount and volume of work that our officers do. And I just want to highlight that that is a very large number to comprehend that with a number of officers, that volume of work is being done. I also took a look at the report for the fire department. Our fire department, our first responders are phenomenal in every way that you can think of. I wanted to highlight that because the numbers and the services that you guys provide to our community are phenomenal and I want to commend you for that. Thank you, sir.
Any other council member that wants to bring an item on the consent agenda, anything on that item for the presentations? Community development, do we have any reports from that? Any presentations from economic development and public affairs? Our police chief, do we have any comments from you?
No, Mayor, unless there's any other questions
Okay.
on the packet.
Fire chief, anything from you?
No, sir, unless there's any questions on the
Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda items. Moving along down to the consent agenda items, we have A, approval of the minutes for the special meeting December 2nd, 2024. Approval of the minutes for regular meeting December 16th, 2024. We have C, finance report for December 2024. Do we have any comments regarding that or any concerns regarding the consent agenda items? Staff, we okay with on that? Council a moment to absorb that.
Mayor, may I be recognized?
Absolutely. Go right
Thank you.
ahead, Councilman.
So I move to approve the consent agenda items in their totality.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Lysia has second. Any further discussion? We'll go ahead and take a roll call. Councilman Valverde,
Yay.
Councilman Sines,
Yay.
Councilman Lysia,
Yay.
Councilman Sellers. Yeah. Councilman Burton.
Yay.
Unanimous 5-0, motion carries. No nays. Moving right along to the business items. Number 1, consider an action to adopt a resolution to order a joint general election to be held with Bear County on May 3rd, 2025. Mr. Messick and Ms. Merlo.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Your next election is coming up in May. It'll be on May 3rd, which is a Saturday. And in accordance with Local Government Code, Chapter 22 and Election Code, State of Texas, we should be passing an ordinance that states to have such election. And so this is what this business item is for. It's the same as what we do every year for an election. Your packet has the resolution on it, but just to go over a few things with that, the election is held jointly every year with Bear County. They can do it efficiently and cheaper for us. In most small community, well, all communities in Bear County use Bear County for their elections. And so this spells out also in the resolution what their responsibilities are. And so just to highlight a few key points, the 13th of February is the last day to pick up an application if you wish to run. The election that we're holding is for Council Place 3, 4, and 5 this year. Polling place shall be open election day, that's Saturday, May the 3rd, from 7 to 7 p.m. The polling location will be, as it always is, at the Wonderland of Americas. First day of early voting will be Tuesday, April 22nd, and last day of early voting, April 29th. Applications for mail-in ballot must be sent to the Bear Elections Administrator no later than April 3rd, 2025. And those are the highlights of the election. If there's any questions, myself and Ms. Merlot could hopefully answer them for you.
Any questions from council for staff? Thank you, Mr. Messick. Any other information you'd like to share?
No, sir. As this is required, staff recommends that you pass the resolution, of course.
We'll move on to item number 2.
May I be
Wait a
recognized?
minute.
May I
Yeah,
be
do an
recognized?
action, yeah. So we have a motion, Councilman?
No, yes.
Sines?
So I move to make a motion to adopt the resolution to order a joint general election to be held with Bear County on May 3rd, 2025.
Do we have a second to Councilman?
I second.
Councilman Valverde, a second. Okay, so we have any further discussion on it? Okay, let's go ahead and call the vote. Councilman Valverde?
Yay.
Mayor,
Yeah.
before we continue,
Sure,
are we permitted to continue without legal?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
it's
wanted to
a
make-
Formality.
Okay,
basically.
I just want to make sure that we,
He's already
we-
cleared it when he got the information on the agenda. So we're good.
right now, we're not in violation of any
No,
rules.
Not at all.
Want clarification?
Okay, thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead. We were in the process of calling the vote. Councilman Valverde, vote. What's your vote? Councilman Sines?
Yay.
Councilman Lysia?
Yay.
Councilman Sellers? Yeah. Councilman Burton?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a unanimous 5-0 and no nays. The second item we have is consider an action to certify the signatures of the petition for decertification of collective bargaining for Balcones Heights Police Department. We have a citizen that would like to comment on that, so we'll call her up, get her to provide her comments and input. Former Mayor Suzanne De Leon.
Oh, you're.
Okay, well, collective bargaining is a hot topic right now, as y'all know, and I think it's very important that we keep some things in mind. You know, Fredericksburg Road is heavily traveled. Also Hillcrest, they get off at 410 to come down through our city, tear up our roads for San Antonio residents too. And we have a lot of more activity in this city. You know, we've said so many times, and I believe I've said to y'all as well, we may have 3,000 people who sleep here at night, but we can have 40 to 50,000 people that drive through our city every day. So our police department is strapped. Usually there's only 2 officers on the road at any given time. Things go down. Thank God we've got other people that will come in from City Hall to go out and help, but that puts our officers at a lot of disadvantages. So also, sir, you have said that you want to cut salaries. That's illegal. You cannot cut a police officer's salary. And you want to cut staff. And I think if you wanted to cut staff from our police department, which since we only have 2 on the street at any given time, you're going to put our citizens in grave danger to do that. So I think collective bargaining is very critical for our city. And we've got wonderful officers going on right now, and I don't want to lose any of them. So I wish that this would calm down. You did a legal petition. That's fine. As I understand, all of the names have been approved. That's good. Let them come out and talk about that. But we're going to be talking too about why it's important that we keep collective bargaining. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilliam. So we'll move on down to the next item. Excuse me, we have, now we're going to do the action to decertify the signatures.
Mayor,
Petition.
Mr.
Any
Burton
input?
is asking to be.
Any input? Councilman Burton?
Yes, I don't remember any discussions on cutting salaries or cutting staff. We've actually added officers. I think the one position we're down, Chief, we're only down 1 position, correct, still?
Yes, sir. The one that's frozen, the CID sergeant position?
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
we've not cut staff. We've not cut. No.
Mayor, I'd like to call point of order.
Excuse me, he's got.
Mm.
Point
Well,
of order.
At any rate, I'm not in favor of cutting staff or positions.
Hmm.
Maybe
Yeah, I need to cut it.
renaming, I don't see why we need.
Excuse me, Jack, he's called a point of order. So as a matter of point of order,
Yeah.
what's your point of order?
My point of order is if we're in the citizens to be heard, we must follow the rules
We're not in
consistently.
citizens to be heard.
And then citizens to be heard.
Yeah.
It's a discussion?
Yeah,
This
Mr.
is an
Chair.
act,
Okay.
this is. a
If I may,
business summit.
Councilman Byrd, let me answer him, please.
That's fine.
As presiding chair. So Councilman Isaiah, we are in business items right now, so these things can be discussed now.
That's fine.
So back when we were in citizens to be heard.
I
we
understand.
couldn't do it,
I'm-
But now we can engage.
I want to make sure
So
that we're
you can
following.
also engage
Thank you.
As well. Thank you for your input. Go ahead, you continue in the floor.
Thank you.
Councilman Byrd.
I think the only discussion that came up as far as anything is moving positions around was, why do we need 6 corporals or, stuff of that nature? But there was, I don't remember any saying we're going to cut any jobs and it's not a anti-police or a pro-police. It's the collective bargaining part of it. And Mr. Valverde was kind enough to do research and come up with a comparison of all suburban cities here in our area. And we pay our officers good. So I don't see where we're cutting salaries, staff, or anything. Just wanted to say that.
May I be recognized?
Councilman Sines. go
Thank
ahead.
you. So I just wanted to point out that Ms. Slay had signed up to be,
Yes, and I
to
had,
speak on
noticed-
this,
I
so.
recognize, I appreciate that very much. I had missed that and I saw it right away afterwards. You want to go ahead or you want to continue to let the council talk a little bit or you want to jump in? Totally up to you. Go ahead. Madeline Slay, our former city councilman, woman and.
Hi, Madeline Slay.
President?
Yes, President,
PC board member.
business owner, yes.
Slay, go right ahead.
So when I was looking over this, I did have a concern. I wish Frank were here because there was a special council meeting on January the 13th. And there are no minutes posted on the website, nor is it listed to be approved today. So when I went to go see, I wanted to see what the discussion was on the LGC Chapter 174, the ballot initiative to repeal. I wanted to see, okay, everything that happened, you know, what was said, but there were no meeting minutes, so I couldn't get it.
Mayor, if
Yes,
I may,
go
you
ahead.
said January the 13th
Yes, ma'am.
this year? Those are posted in February for,
Okay, so it seems a little odd to me that then we could be voting on something that we haven't even approved the meeting minutes for then tonight.
I beg your pardon. Ms. Slay, if I may respectfully reply. First of all, the issue is a citizen issue. It's not a council issue. It's not a mayor issue. It is a citizen petition. And so the citizens are the ones that are requesting the election. And we have no control over it. The way the statute is written is that if 5% of the population of the voting members of the community, which was 573, that voted in the past November election, if they sign that petition, which would have been 28 votes, anything over that is just gravy, but that is the citizens asking and petitioning their government to say, we would like to have the opportunity to vote whether we want to stay in or we want to stay out. And so when it happens, that first process needs to take place. When that occurs, then the signatures are submitted by a citizen, not by me or anyone else, by a citizen. And the citizen goes to the city secretary, submits the signatures. The city secretary then goes to the Bexar County Elections Division and gets them to certify those votes to determine if they're valid votes. From that point, then it gets brought over back to our legal counsel. Legal counsel looks at it, determines that the certification process was done correctly. Then now it has to be presented before the council.
I understand though.
Okay, I didn't know.
I do.
So I thought I would go.
Joe, this is, so I'm gonna go on with kind of the agenda item because under the special meeting packet, this agenda item came up and it says recommendation, review all documents related. It also says attachments, and it says all documents related to potential petition and or ballot initiative should be attached. But I couldn't see where this actual ballot was attached for anyone to review before the meeting. And so then going on to that, you know, there looks like we had an army of 5 go out. And so now we're just going to have a bigger army to explain it before the election if it passes. But I do not like you know, these collaborative agreements generally. Because throughout the history of our country, they've shown we don't necessarily need it anymore, but we're talking big business. We're talking big business. This is a very small city. And my concern is that we'll find people that might apply if they don't have any certainties of what they're going to get. But they might be the same people that were trying to take the guns away on the street. We don't know. I don't think we're going to find anyone that will want to actually work for us because they will have, because it's such a small city. Their only initiative to even work here at all is because they do have some things put in place that they could guarantee their job for longer than, you know, a few months. So that's my first concern. And when I read the petition and how it was supposedly explained to people, which I'm not sure that it was complete, I don't know, but I'm having a hard time believing that everyone went around and explained it. That you talk about for the health and safety of the community. You mentioned that once, and then all it talks about is financial. Financial has nothing to do with the health and safety of the city. So, it also on the, how do these, how does this get certified, this petition? What's the process for certification? Because, I mean, well, let me ask you my question and you can, and then if I'm all out of, so there's lots and lots of the same addresses on here. And we've looked at this before. Do these people actually live there? So my question is, with all of these addresses on here and all of the repeats, have we certified that they're actually registered to vote here? Because otherwise their vote shouldn't count.
Yes, ma'am. They have been certified. The signatures were certified by the Elections Division Department. There was a team of 3 people. So Ms. Jackie Callanan and her team have certified.
Every single address. Okay.
And to make sure that there were no duplicates.
Not address, I'm sorry. Every person.
Every person.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So I guess that respect, you want to talk about life safety of the citizens and people like us who have businesses as well. Then if we can't be guaranteed to have good officers because they have no guarantees of a job in such a small city, then I think we need to adopt a city ordinance allowing all citizens to open carry without a permit, because that is what the criminals are doing every day. And we need to feel protected. And if we don't have good officers on the street that we know that they feel good about their jobs, then there's concerns.
Councilman Burton?
Actually, all citizens are allowed to open carry without a permit.
Okay, good. So we just need to make sure everyone gets their permits.
Oh, I was,
Okay, because we're gonna have to police ourselves, because we're not gonna have the best police officers. Nobody's gonna want to work here. Every city, big city, they all need people desperately. They need good people, and we're not gonna get any if they don't have any guarantees. And I'm not saying because it's not a great place to work. I'm saying because for such a small city, it's a risk. If I'm an employee, I'm gonna go work for a small, basically, mom and pop shop, which I'm sorry, that's what we are. I'm going to want some sort of a contract to know that I'm gonna have my job in 6 months. They're gonna take the risk, if I'm gonna take the risk of hiring on with such a small company that we don't even know if they're gonna be there the next year. So we want a contract, and that's how I think our professionals should feel about working for our small city, that they should need that. So obviously I'm against the collective bargaining repealment, and if it does go through, we will talk about this a little more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, yes, you still have the floor. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think maybe the chief can, Chapter 9 Penal Code allows open carry. I was just making sure I had my information correct.
Yes, sir.
You said it, I just want to make sure I'm correct.
Councilman Burton, September 1st of 2021, legislation adopted open carry away from, well, concealed or open, as far as the individual not having a criminal background, anyone that can lawfully possess a handgun, and older restrictions that are qualified to have a handgun license. So
I was just
Yes, sir.
making sure I was correct on it. But I will say that Leon Valley doesn't have collective bargaining. I think Castle Hills does. But I was just responding to.
So we'll try not to spend too much more time. Did you have something?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Just real quick, I know Miss Madeline said there was a group of individuals. Do we have the names of the individuals that led that teams or to collect the
It's a
signatures?
matter of public information, and it can be obtained through the public information.
Okay.
So I don't think we should be at liberty to be discussing those names, but she has them, but yeah.
I don't have that packet
Go
with me.
ahead. So you can get it through the channels by asking the city administrator, and he'll give it to you. Yeah.
I think I'm signed up. You also? Um, you have to remember, this does not only affect the police officers. It has an impact on the fire department, salaries. Every salary in the city has an impact. I explained that last time I was up here. You know, we surveyed 10 suburban cities, come up with an average for each position. And that's a starting point with the police department. If we're able to, we also apply that same salary survey to non-bargaining folks, fire department, all other departments. So if we're not going to do salary surveys through the police department, I encourage, and I think the council has a right to still conduct a salary survey for everybody else, even without the contract. You have the authority to do that. You can call for a salary survey. It will not be binding, but it will be something that you can consider when you look at the salaries of all the different employees, fire department, police department, which is essentially what we do with more than half of our employees anyway. So I encourage you, if this bargaining contract is considered lapsed or no longer valid, that you can consider taking it up as a council, because we need to do the right thing for our employees. You know, we need to pay them a fair salary, one that keeps up with the cost of living. I get a cost of living adjustment. Anybody that's retired by the federal government or on Social Security gets one. If you're drawing VA benefits, you get one. So I think we need to do the same thing for our employees.
May I be
You have
recognized?
something?
Yes.
He's already spoken. I'm going to give him an opportunity.
Thank you. I just want to point out this petition described as a petition for decertification of the collective bargaining for Balcony Heights Police Department. It does not decertify the police officers union at all at this point. So what it does is it prevents the city of Balcony Heights from engaging in collective bargaining agreement or collective bargaining with the police officers union moving forward. So the police officers contract that is currently in place will remain in effect until June of 2027. So what it does also do, if this repeal passes, is it prevents the city from opening the negotiating window this coming June of 2025, where we have the opportunity to renegotiate compensation for the police officers for this. So I believe the language of the petition was misleading, stating it's a petition for decertification. And it's also a little misleading in how it was presented to the citizens, that it would save the city money, because in the short term, it definitely will not, because we'll be hamstrung with the current contract that we have, and we won't have the opportunity to negotiate. So that is my piece. With that, I would move to certify the signatures for the petition of decertification of the collective bargaining for Balcony Heights Police Department.
We have a motion on the floor. Councilman Burton, you had some comments to have. So when we call for further discussion, I think you can make your comments at that time. Would you like to do that or before the motion? Because we do have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second to the motion, Councilman Burton. So we'll call for further discussion. Is there more comments that you had, Councilman Burton, to address?
Yeah, I think a reasonable, the officers will still get a step increase as far as I know, and their cost of living increase. And I think negotiations is fair. I mean, to do the salary surveys or whatever, that's fair. I'm not against that. But they will get a cost of living increase that comes. They will get their step increase that comes. And with that, I'm done.
May I respond to that, Mayor?
Sure. Yes,
So
go right ahead.
right now, we are contractually obligated to give the police officers the COLA and the step increases every 2 years. When the contract runs its course and is no longer in place, then we are no longer contractually obligated to give them COLA or step increases. So as what happened with the previous budget cycle, we had to make the very difficult decision to not give non-contract employees a full COLA. We only gave them a 1% pay increase because that's all the city could afford at that time. The police officers, because of their contract, received the full COLA and their step increases, whereas the regular non-contract employees did not. They only received 1%. So if this does go into place and is repealed starting in June of 2027, the police officers will no longer have that assurance of a guaranteed COLA or step increases. So
And I understand
I
that.
just want to make sure that's
I do.
Hold on,
because that's not
Councilman
what you
Burke.
said. You said they
Councilman
will
Simon.
get their COLAs and they will get their step increases.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
You yield the floor?
I yield.
Yield. Councilman Burton?
I'm done. I'm done speaking
Okay.
about it. It's useless speaking about it right
Okay.
now.
So just for
sorry.
clarification, as mayor, I want to make sure that it's understood. And Councilman Sine, I'm glad you did make some of the comments that you made, and I compliment you for it because I think it exemplified perfectly well. The key words that you used were, that's all that the city council can afford. So this is, again, and I want to make sure everyone understands this process. This is not a council initiative. It's not a mayor initiative. This is a mandate by the public that they are petitioning their government for redress, and they want to have the ability to make a decision on whether they stay in collective bargaining or not. To address the situation as a point of mayor position, the councilman's statement right now about that's all the council can afford, well, that means that's all the city can afford. And the problem with collective bargaining is that it holds us hostage to that contract, and we're obligated to it. And it doesn't matter whether we have the money in the bank or not, or whether we have the budget to do it or not, we have to negotiate. When we don't, and we unhinder ourselves, which is what the people are asking to do, to have that decision to make, then you have, and you loosen up more money to address more core delivery services for the community. It gives the opportunity to give fair balance to the whole city as a whole. And the collective bargaining right now, we do have very good industry-related increases in their salary, their benefits. They have some of the best. Trust me, I don't believe, and if they do walk out, we'll have other officers come in. But that's not a matter of contention that we're fighting for, the citizens are trying to redress their government about. They want to have the opportunity to say, yes, I want to continue to stay in collective bargaining. No, I don't want to stay in collective bargaining. For whatever reasons it may be, whether it is budget constraints or it's personal feelings. The fact is, this is not a anti-police or a pro-police issue. It is a matter of sustainability. Whether our city, the size that we are, with the limited revenue that we receive and operating on an $8 million budget cycle with a $9 million expenditure, and we're every year operating from 2015 to the present date at deficits every single year. We're teetering on the edge, and all it's going to take is one critical catastrophe that happens. If we get COVID again, if we start losing the sales tax revenue that we so depend on so much, that I contribute as a businessman here too. I pay sales tax every quarter to the city. So I contribute, and I have vested interest in this as well. But this is the citizens' redress to their government. This is not us. This is not the council. Now, we have, as council members and elected officials, the liberty, because we're also citizens, to participate in that process. And if we want to go door to door, we don't have control what other people say. And it's very unfair to blame other people when you don't have the full story, whether that's exactly what that person said or not. Everyone has their own right to address their government. And that is a God-given right, a constitutional right they have. So let's just move forward. We try to build off of this, and we let the citizens speak.
Yeah.
Once the citizen speaks, whether we lose on it or we win on the issue, It depends how hard you work on it and get the message across. But to be very clear, this is not anti-police. This is not pro-police. This is a matter of budget sustainability, finances. The city can no longer continue to sustain. And everyone that has worked on the negotiations with the officers, including yourself, former Councilman Gillian, you know, it's a negotiating back and forth. They never go down. Every time unions, it's always going up. So the question is, can we continue to afford that? Or do we loosen ourselves from the binds and the bounds of that to give us the freedom to focus on what are the core delivery services, on economic development, maybe fill that economic development position that's open right now, or other things that we may need for our community, capital improvements, infrastructure.
I understand finance, okay? I'm a CPA, so I understand finance. You don't have to preach finance to me. Well, that's the way you come across in meetings, preaching. But what I like to say is, I never meant to say, I don't think I said that I'm against citizens having the right to have a petition.
I said you did, sir.
Well, it sounded like, because you were looking at me the whole time you were making those comments. Let me continue, please. Please don't interrupt me.
Just an explanatory.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm in no way against people filing a legal petition, and this was a legal petition. It was certified, okay? What I do have problem is when people go around and tell half-truths. And I have a person that I could ask to come in and verify what I said about what Mr. Mena said.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, that's Mr. Mena, but
you see, but
I don't know where Mr. Mena.
well, we don't either. Right. Well, but see, that's speculation, and that's not fair. And it's not fair that you come to the council and do that. We just want to be respectful to each other. We want to build our community, and we want to work towards people building. We don't want to destroy people. We don't want to not knock people down. We want to work towards building people, building our community, uniting it, collaborating together, agreeing to disagree, and then we move forward.
I fully understand the process. Thank you. In the negotiations, it seems that we're trying to be pointing at the negotiation team as just giving them anything they wanted. In the last negotiation, we went from a 3 to a 5-year contract, right? That was a big step. Mr. Garza was there in the negotiations. Negotiations are give and take. The funding that we sent out for salaries was based on a
Yeah.
Came out again.
not based on.
And if I may, I'm going to allow just a little bit more. I think we've all had a good chance to talk it over, and I don't want to go any further than this. So I'm going to allow you a few more sentences because we're really getting off track. We're actually getting because it's the consideration and action to certify the signatures of the petition for decertification of collective bargaining for Balcony Heights Police Department. We're getting into the meat and potatoes, and let's just stay out. So I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish a couple of more sentences. And yes, I am. Yes, sir. So that we can move forward with the meeting and move together, okay? So if you want a couple of more sentences, you're allowed to come in. Okay? Okay, thank you so much,
Mayor.
Mr. Gillian. Councilman Lysia, I think we're going to move on.
Mhm.
We've had enough discussion. I think we're beating it over the head. And Frank, we were on item number 2, and we actually went into the meat and potatoes of the actual process and everything like that. And I think we got a little bit off track instead of just staying focused on the voting for the decertification of the deal. We've probably spent around 15 minutes on it already. So,
Mayor, if I may still.
okay, I'll give you an opportunity, Councilman, to say in all fairness. And after that, then we'll close it out, okay? Okay, go right ahead, sir.
And listening to what you were saying and the interest of the citizens, I almost got cut off. And it seems to me that we need to listen to the council in its entirety and not see only what we want to see. Silencing a councilman is silencing a voter. And I want to make sure that we're very clear and we all understand that silencing a council member and silencing a citizen is silencing the community. So with that, I want to say that, you know, we are where we're at, and let's, you know, continue to move forward. But it's imperative that we recognize that silencing anyone is silencing the community.
Okay, point taken. Thank you very much, sir. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
We have
So
to
we're going to
take
take a vote. Yes, sir. And we're going to take the vote on after that. And so do we have a motion on the table?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilman Sines, Councilman Burton. Now we'll go ahead and call the vote. Councilman Valverde.
Yay.
Councilman, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yay.
Yay. Councilman Sines?
Yay.
Councilman Lafayette?
Yay.
Councilman Sellers?
Yay.
Councilman Burton?
Yay.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion carries 5-0. There's no nays. Now we'll move on to item number 3. Consider an action to adopt a resolution ordering a special election to be held jointly with Bear County on May 3rd, 2025, to submit to the qualified voters of Balcones Heights the question of whether Chapter 174 of the Texas Local Government Code collective bargaining should be repealed for the city of Balcones Heights police officers, authorizing the mayor and the city secretary to take all action necessary to comply with applicable election laws and setting an effective date. Mr. Messick and Ms. Merlo.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. As business item number 2 has been passed already, the next step would be to place it onto the election. And this is what this business item is for. And this is calling for a special election to be held in conjunction with the general election. This would basically be Proposition A. Your ordinance and everything that you need to know about it is in the packet, and we're here to answer any questions you might have. But staff recommends that you approve the ordinance.
Is there a particular language that has to be?
Yes, sir. It's actually in the resolution you will be adopting. That's the language required by state law, Chapter 174.
My question, I guess, my real question is it one of those questions where you got to scratch your head and if you vote no, it's yes, and you vote yes, it's no?
Yes.
No,
question?
no, the question is, do you wish to repeal? So if you do wish to repeal, the answer is yes. If you do not wish to repeal, the answer will be no.
Black and white.
Yes, sir.
May I be recognized?
Yes, Councilman Sines.
Thank you. So I will read the proposition. Proposition A. A repeal of the adoption of the state law applicable to police officers that establishes collective bargaining if a majority of the affected employees favor representation by an employees association, preserves the prohibition against strikes and lockouts, and provides penalties for strikes and lockouts. Then you can vote for the proposition or against the proposition. Not quite as black and white as I think.
Well, the
our
word,
attorney
first
has
word
to-
is repeal.
Right, but
The
if
rest
they
of
don't
it, you're right.
understand what
No,
they're repealing.
Correct. The
that's
rest of it
question.
is not clear,
Yes.
but
So-
and believe me, I didn't put this language together. It is what's required by state law.
Right. So this is required according to Chapter 174 of the Local Government Code. So it is not clear. It is a repeal, but there is not clear what is being repealed, is my point.
And just for the record, if I may interrupt you slightly, Mr. Stein, you still have the floor. The time is 5:57. I think you came in around 5:54, something like that for the record.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah, more or less. Just for the record, our city attorney has joined the meeting. And Mr. Stein, you still have the floor, sir.
I'm done. I think Mr. Sellers wanted to be.
Councilman Sellers, go right ahead. You want to give a few minutes and then take Councilman Lysia and come back? A couple of minutes, a couple of seconds to think about it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't purposely ignore it. I'm sorry, I didn't see. Yeah. In the future, we just say, Mayor, may I speak? And then I'll know you want to be recognized, okay? Way I know. Is
Mayor-
everything okay, Mr. Lysia?
Yes, I
Something
just,
funny? What's something funny?
in my opinion, yes,
What
it
is-
was funny.
what's so
In my
funny?
internal jokes, what I'm having fun with.
What, we're in a meeting for the city.
Okay.
What's so funny?
Anyway, may I be
Would you like to
recognized
share
now?
it? Like to share it?
Huh?
Would you like to share it with the rest of us?
I think it's inappropriate the way you've conducted yourself. And I think Mr. Sellers deserves a little bit more professionalism. So,
I just
Thank you.
asked him. I mean, I'm conducting Robert's Rules of Order.
okay, may I
So,
be recognized?
You sure
May-
can. You
okay.
still have the floor.
And just, Mr. Attorney, to understand the pros and the cons, can you pretty much elaborate what the petition, the verbiage is, what is yes and what is no?
Okay. Just ask him. Take care of it.
Voting for would be what?
If you vote for the proposition, you're voting to repeal the adoption of collective bargaining.
Okay,
If you vote against, you're voting against the repeal of collective bargaining.
okay. So voting against would be pretty much, would like for it to stay the way it is and not move forward.
Correct.
If we have collective bargaining now, it would say, I would like for it to stay the way it is.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You yield the floor? Yes. Okay. Anyone else have any comments? David, you want to go back on it? You good?
May I be recognized, Mayor?
Councilman Sines?
Thank you. So I do not agree with this repeal. I don't think it's a very good course of action for our city to take. However, it has been, there has been a legal petition signed by a the required number of citizens. This is something that I, again, do not agree with, and I will be strenuously opposed to. However, I will move to approve adding this to the, what's the wording on
If you can
the?
just
To the
read it
ballot.
right off the
Yeah,
item.
adding it to
agenda.
the ballot.
Yeah, as the item reads, just, you can read that agenda item and that will cover it.
Yeah,
Just
so
read it verbatim.
move to approve the adoption of a resolution ordering the special election to be held jointly with Bear County on May 3rd, 2025.
And then to submit qualified voters.
Well, I mean,
I don't need to read the whole
he's-
thing.
Would that be
yeah,
suffice?
that's
Okay.
sufficient.
Right, as long as it's sufficient. And do we have a second to Councilman Sines' motion?
Second.
Councilman Valverde, second. Do we have any further discussion from anybody? Last chance, David? Anything? Councilman Sellers?
Just want to make it known now, I'm going to refrain from voting simply because I'm not fully understanding this, okay? So I'm not going to vote yea or nay.
Council? Okay, move forward.
It's his
Okay.
call.
All right, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Councilman Valverde?
Yay.
Councilman Sines?
Again, in protest, yay.
Okay. Councilman Hosea?
I do not support, I do not support defunding public safety or any critical services that can affect the safety and well-being of the citizens of Balcones Heights.
Is that a yea or nay?
That is a yay to comply with the law and the request of the citizens. But to note it that I am totally against this and do not support defunding any services.
Thank you. Councilman Sellers? Nay? Councilman Burton?
Yeah.
Okay,
He
so we've
his
got-
was a refrain, not a nay.
that- I know.
He's
Well,
abstained.
it's a
Well, you said
refrain.
nay.
You want to refrain? Okay.
I just want to
So we
clarify,
have-
he's
we have one
abstained from voting.
refrain, and we have 4 of yays. That's correct. Okay,
Okay.
motion carries. Okay, so then the special election will be called. Announcement, comments, and requests. Announcement, comments by the mayor or the council members. Council members, do you have any?
I do have
Comments,
one,
Stan?
Mayor.
Councilman Valverde?
I do have a
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
announcement. Ladies and gentlemen and council, although my term is not over until May of this year, I have decided to make this announcement tonight. This will allow the opportunity for the most recent criticizers or anyone else interested in applying for my position. As just a reminder, the deadline is the second week of February. It has indeed been an honor to serve this community as an elected member of the Balcones Heights City Council. But after careful consideration, I have decided not to seek reelection and to disengage from all city activities effective May 2025. Recent developments have made it difficult for me to support the direction the city is taking, which no longer aligns with my personal values and ethical standards. I was really looking forward to seeing changes after the last election. I have seen changes which went from bad to worse. I haven't seen any positive direction or sense of urgency for improving our city operations and appearance. This council has created an embarrassing situation which I have never witnessed before in public by arguing, flaunting egos, demonstrating disrespectful actions, resulting in 99% disgruntled employees, to include complaints against the leadership from employees, council members, and the Balcones Heights Police Officers Association. Employees and the Police Officer Association have requested the council to act on their complaints. Unfortunately, the council is constrained and not the deciding factor on these complaints. It is a lot more complicated despite what our laws and policies say. The process is very costly for the city due to residents and district courts' involvement in the final decision. My personal feeling is that if I'm in a leadership position and cannot help and comply with employees' requests and not leading or accomplishing anything, I have no business being in this leadership position. There are other intolerable actions which have been recorded in council meetings, such as agenda items being pulled from the agenda, disrespectful and unprofessional comments, such as the rats are leaving the ship, unprofessional actions and attacks within the council in public, ignoring the respect of the positions, and creating a hostile working environment for employees. Some residents have labeled me as a lazy spine, a person who doesn't say much, and a person who's not committed to his position. I have abstained from responding to these comments simply because I refuse to engage with ignorance. As a matter of fact, I find these comments comical because these comments and opinions come from people who find it easier to criticize than participate, sharing their expert ideas, suggestions, and concerns to help take care of the community where we all live. Balcones Heights is not the same as it used to be, and as time goes by, it's getting worse. This is a reflection on the leadership, and my leadership style can no longer tolerate these unacceptable conditions. I want to take this opportunity to thank staff, employees, and residents who have supported, understood, and had confidence in my leadership during my council tenure. This city does have good, committed, and loyal employees, and I appreciate all they do for this community. I'm hoping things will change to take care and treat them with the respect they have earned and deserve. I'm closing with the following because I find this so compelling. An internationally acclaimed organizational consultant and author by the name of Edu Wu Koyen Kan quoted, "At the end, someone or something always gives up. It is either you give up and quit, or the obstacle or failure gives up and makes way for your success to come through." Well, unfortunately, tonight, it is I who's given up and quitting. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Councilman Valverde, and we wish you luck in the future, and thank you very much for the years of service you provided to our community. May God bless you and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Any other council members have any other announcements, any other comments?
May I be recognized?
Yes, Councilman Sines, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Valverde. I'd like to thank you for your many years of service serving the citizens of Balcones Heights. Your experience and leadership will be missed, and just again, want to give you thanks.
Okay, we'll
Mayor-
go ahead.
Mayor?
Yes, go right ahead.
And I'd like to echo Councilman Sines. Mr. Valverde, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your patience and taking me under your wing and helping me learn the system. You're a true mentor, a true leader, and totally appreciate what you have done for the city.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Councilman Sellers.
Councilman Valverde, you've been a great neighbor. And a great friend. Thank you. I have a question for Floyd.
Go right ahead, sir.
Considering Frontier garbage, I would like to know if in the contract that we have with them, perhaps under customer satisfaction, are we keeping count on the number of complaints that have come in about Frontier? Yes or no?
Do not know, sir, but we'll find out.
You are?
We will find out. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I would also like to know if we receive a certain number of complaints, is that contract null and void? That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, if you want to require any answer on your part?
No, sir, I'm not ready to answer that, but we'll look into it and get back with you.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay, Mr. Councilman Sellers? Okay, okay. All right. So we'll move right on down to item number 5 if no one else has any other comments. Item number 5, announcements by the interim city administrator.
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. No comment. Number 6, agenda item, request by mayor, council members to be placed on a future council agenda. Anyone have any council agenda items that'd like to be placed on the agenda?
I
For
believe
the
my
future.
item was moved to February, and I still want to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, item, concern of number regarding the, I think, code compliance, correct, Mr. Sellers? Correct, on the code compliance? Yeah. Okay. All right, note taken. Staff, anything else? Anyone else? So we'll go ahead and move on. Now, we will thank everyone here that showed up for the meeting. All the citizens, thank you for taking time to be here and to participate. We enjoyed you being here, and I hope that we'll get to see you in another meeting as well. At this point right now, the time is 6:11 p.m. We will now be going in executive session to interview our candidates for the city administrator permanent position that we have available. And it's, again, 6:11 p.m., and we will now be closing.
Mayor, may I suggest we take a short break?
Sure.
Thank you.
Open meeting, and then we'll go directly into executive session. Our
Mayor,
executive session is going to be upstairs, right?
Mayor
Already called
Rodriguez.
it.
Yes, sir. Will you
Yes.
read the caption, please?
I'm sorry, yes.
The caption
All right.
for the executive session.
So number 7, discussion pursuant to 551071, attorney consultation and discussion pursuant to 551074, personnel matters, city administrator interviews, which we will be going right after this little break. Okay, the time is 10:39 p.m. We are now moving from the executive session, and we're going to reconvene in open session. And the council may act in open session on items discussed in executive session. So what we're going to do is we're going to be calling a special meeting for September 3rd, February 3rd, excuse me. I don't know why I think it's September. February 3rd, February 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the council chambers, basically to continue the interviewing process of the candidates.
May I ask,
Yes, Councilman Sines.
do we need to have a motion to do that, or is that, okay?
No. Okay, and so that, we just need a motion to convene, to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
Councilman Burton, second. Mr. Valverde, we're going to call for the
Aye.
vote. Mr. Sines?
Yay.
Mr. Lisea? Mr. Sellers? And Mr.
Yay.
Burton? Great. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And thank you for making it go very smoothly. Have a good one. All right.